What's up, world? It's your homegirl Ivy. We are here live in HQ. Well, in the offices of HQ right now with a special edition of Welcome to the Rawrrzone. We are highlighting influential women who are taking their passions, they're taking from their experiences, they're taking from their hopes, their dreams, their loss, their grief, and they're doing something so powerful with it. Today, my guest is Coach Promises Rene Huff, who wrote the book Feel Deal Heal. Um, Being someone that lost somebody recently with the loss of both of my brothers, it was very thrilling to read something like this because um, it has been a year of loss. So the fact that there's someone that's here, not outside of the counselors, outside of the licensed professionals, you have people that are going out of their way to make sure that others are okay. So a little bit about Coach Promises. Coach Promises R. Huff is a and international best-selling author, certified life entry, re-entry grief coach, originally from Rashford, North Carolina, and now currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. She's a proud HBCU alumni of Fayetteville State University. She holds licenses and certifications in certified daycare management, licensed cosmetologist in 4 different states, a licensed paraprofessional, and now is a certified life coach of ICU Coaching Academy. In addition to wearing all of her hats in the corporate world, she's found her greatest joy in being married to her high school soulmate, the late Coach William R. Huff, and mother to their 4 beautiful, handsome, intelligent, oh my God, all the beautiful children. It cannot go unnoticed that she is also a doggy owner. So I'm going to let you guys hear the words from the great coach herself. Give an applause to Miss Coach Promises Rene Huff. Hello, beautiful.
What's poppin'? How you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm here. I've literally read your bio so many times and I've done a little bit of my own research, but I always love reading that first part with the puppies.
Yeah, it's neat.
Did you know that today is actually National Puppy Day?
I did not. Oh wow. Okay, that's
So there
neat.
was it was funny that I read this because on Channel 5 today on Fox News, you know how they always have these good morning stories. They're like, oh, today's National Puppy Day, and that the
Oh,
APCA is looking to give 3,000 puppies a new home. I was like, oh.
oh man. Wow, that's neat. Well, I guess he gets to get treats today. So yeah.
So how are you today? How are you this morning? We usually do like a morning check-in, weekday check-in. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm one of those type of people. I'm very real. I like to tell people when I talk to them, whether it's on live or face to face. I'm very transparent. I believe in peeling my layers in front of any and everybody. So today is the 23rd. It's actually the day before my birthday, and I'm feeling good. I'm excited and I'm emotional all at the same time. So I'm like, oh God, what is happening? But I feel pretty good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm okay, It was like a long day. When we have to get up early, do the normal thing, I hung out with my mom for a little bit and then I was like, okay, time to go get back to everything. But I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here. We've been gearing up for our show's 5-year anniversary in April.
Oh,
If you're in the New York area, you want to come join us, you're more than welcome
oh
to.
yeah, perfect.
Party, party. Hey, 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 yeah.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So let's start with the book. You that derived a way that you found would be more effective to heal from grief, especially in a time where the world was in such a catastrophe. Tell us a little bit about Promises back at the start of the pandemic.
Oh man. Oh God, I hope y'all ready. Okay, so at the start of the pandemic, it was quite emotional actually, because I was in a position to where I was actually teaching kindergarten. And I was teaching kindergarten and I got laid off. I'm thinking, don't really know how to feel about that because I'm used to working, I'm used to hustling. And then my husband got arrested. So he said, hey, Don't worry about it. I knew he was the main breadwinner, but still, I was in the mode of work and I missed my kids. So when they sent me my letter and they said, okay, boom, you're going to be laid off due to the pandemic, nothing that you did wrong, and we'll resume, whenever everything gets better. So I'm thinking, oh man, in a way, I'm kind of glad because my birthday was coming. And I was like, oh, I don't have to work on my birthday, so I'm gonna be excited. But everything was moving kind of slow, and then I had a tragedy to actually hit my house. Right at the brink of the pandemic, I lost my nephew to a freak accident in Vero Beach, Florida, and that was a very sad occasion because I had literally just talked to him the day of the accident, and he was supposed to graduate in May of 2020, and he went to the beach with his friends, and they got in the water. There was a storm. He went to save his friend, but he saved his friend, but he couldn't save himself. A current took him under, and he had just turned 18. Literally, he was going to college to play football. Everything was just set up perfect. And then not only did the pandemic hit, but death hit my house. So, everything was kind of thrown off anyway. And my husband and I, we were just trying to figure out, wow, how do we recover from this? And then 6 months later, my husband gets sick all of a sudden. And we're like, okay, wait, like what's happening? My kids are looking like, this is not normal. Like, what's going on? Because we've never really had a close death to hit our home. And when my husband got sick, it was kind of, it was a whirlwind because it was right. Actually, it was in November. And my husband's wish for Thanksgiving was to have all of our kids in the same house. We were going to take family photos and everything was going to be great. And Thanksgiving Day, I took him in and we did not walk out of there together. So that whole part of the top of 2020 all the way to the bottom was a freaking disaster. So, yeah.
How were you able to effectively sit there, because you were running your own business, you were still doing the life coaching, which was something that he was so strongly about, um, keeping your house in check. A lot of people don't realize, that it could become overwhelming for people. So how were you able to manage through that?
Man, well, I'm a very spiritual individual. I believe in a lot of prayer and I'm very heavy in meditation. So it took some time for me to take that time away from my kids, away from family, friends, to just get to myself and try to understand what was happening because I didn't. At this point, I'm like, wait, I'm getting hit left and right. What is the problem? What has happened? I'm trying to reevaluate everything, but I had to come to my senses and understand, okay, hey, look, all of this was out of my hands. It was out of my control. Tried my best to hang on to what little bit of strength that I do have left. And of course, everybody's saying, oh, P, you're so strong. And I'm like, but what happens to the strong person? So I am very adamant, like I said, about praying and meditating. That was my strong suit. I had to do a lot of that. And I still do today.
So in the second chapter with dealing, after your husband has passed, you talked about questioning the whole thing about God. Um, and being that you are a spiritualist, do you feel like, I personally feel when it comes to especially this part, that it's okay to be angry, which was something you had, were equally aligned with. But a lot of people, like you said, we're talking about you can't question God. You know, how do you feel taking like a global stance in a way, saying that it's okay to question these things that you don't know, uh especially in a time that's so unpredictable?
Right. Well, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Me personally, I I don't have a problem with asking God the question simply because He's the one that formulated every question, every word, every sentence that I have. He's given me my brain. He gave me my thoughts. So he already know I'm going to ask him anyway. So because of that, that led me to believe that, hey, I can ask you questions and whether I get the answer right then or not, I need to know. Because like you said, being angry, being frustrated, I think I did everything except blaspheme God. I knew better. I knew not to do that. That wasn't the case. But because I didn't understand what was happening, I needed answers, and nobody could give them to me but God. So, whether it was through song, whether it was through scripture, watching TV and I receive a message, whatever the case may be, I needed to have that understanding. And it took me a while to get it because I didn't understand, how could you take somebody so precious that, was here on earth fulfilling its purpose and helping everybody, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to help our neighbor and love our neighbor. And the very one that's doing that, you swipe him, but then you leave all of the crazies. I don't understand that. Help me. So yeah, angry, frustrated, mad, every emotion that I had, I felt it and I deemed it necessary to ask him questions. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because he's the creator of all things.
What do you, in writing this book, what were you able to achieve on a personal level from it?
Wow. I've always had compassion for people, but losing my husband and actually watching him take his last breath in my arms made me value life so much more, because we tend to take it for granted. And I know it's kind of cliche, but when you watch someone take their very last breath, it immediately makes you feel like, oh, okay, that's it. So what happens now? We walk around here every day. We go to work. We laugh. We cry. We get mad over the simple, crazy things. And when you see something like that happen, it's like, what was I mad about again? Like, I can literally stop breathing right now. And I knew that, again, I was compassionate, but more compassion, more mercy. I gained a better understanding about life because I hated to talk about death. Death was like the most horrible thing for me to talk about because it was like the end of something. I never looked at it as the beginning of something else. So it was always the end, and it freaked me out up until that point. So learning to have a lot more compassion, a lot more mercy, and just being a lot more grateful for everything, including life.
Tell me about the writing process behind this book.
Oh, dear Jesus. I didn't want to do it. How about that?
I can believe that.
I did not. I tried so hard to be like, you know what, I'm not writing this book. And I knew, hearing the voice of God and just hearing and praying, and I'm like, man, I'm not doing it. And when I finally realized, P, this ain't even about you. And when I got hit with that, I was like, God, wait. I understand it's not about me, but why do you want me to do it? Like, there's so many other people, and I hate the fact that they've lost loved ones, but why do you choose me to do this? Like, I literally just lost my husband like 11/30 of 2020. You want me to write a book and talk about how I lost him, what has happened, how I've been coping, and I don't even know what to tell people. And he said, again, it's not about you, and you don't have to worry about you saying it. Ask me for what you need to say, and I'll give it to you. So when I tell you it was an up and down roller coaster, writing, I would write, I would cry and write and cry and stop. I know I threw my laptop a couple times. Thank God I had insurance. But I tossed my laptop. I did a lot of screaming, crying, cursing. I did a lot just for it to turn out to be an international bestseller. And I wasn't looking for that, but it was therapy for me. I didn't realize how good it felt to actually be able to express my feelings and know that when somebody reads this book, they find a little bit more comfort in knowing that, wow, she's just like me. She lost somebody just like me. And not that it's supposed to make them feel a little better, but in the same breath, wow, if I needed to reach her, if I needed to ask her a question or talk to her, she understands what I'm going through. So it just helped. Therapy.
You talk about in your bio, especially after putting out this book, that you are a licensed grief counselor. What is the process like? Especially being that you have survived grief, you've been through the process of feeling the emotions, healing through yourself, and now dealing with the next phase of your life. What does that look like now giving to other people?
Hard. It's really hard. A lot of people, they say, again, P promises, coach, you're very strong, but having to tell my story over and over again, sounds repetitive, but it's actually helpful. And I didn't understand that in the beginning, because becoming a grief coach, becoming a grief consultant, I had to tell the story. I mean, from top to bottom. There was no, try to pick it apart and trying to make me feel bad, but they needed to understand, who it was that they were releasing to the people to actually help them. So, it took me a minute to actually be able to talk about it without crying, because it's a very emotional topic. This is my husband. This is my guy. You understand what I'm saying? So I didn't know how to consume those feelings, but yet release them so that I could help heal people. So, just being able to talk more about it, being able to answer questions, because I had a problem with people in the beginning asking me, well, what happened? In my mind, first of all, I'm just being real. Why do you need to know what happened? Not my condolences, not, oh man, I'm so sorry, that happened, not worrying about, how it happened, but it was just such a concern. But you don't even know him, so why is there a concern? Why do you need to know what happened? Because this is not a dinner table topic. And I was very angry still, but now I'm released to tell people how it happened, what had happened, and what was the cause, because everybody just assumed it was COVID. I was like, no, it really wasn't. That was the end result, because his immune system was so low. And then when COVID came in, it just kind of wiped him out. But, it took me a minute to be able to break everything down, compartmentalize everything, and just say, okay, hey, we don't have to talk about the whole story, but just talk about this or answer this question. So it was very hard to get through that. But once I got through it and I was able to pick it apart and just talk, everything was okay. So it's not an easy process. Grief is already hard, but then being able to help other people is even harder, because you got to make sure your feelings are in check so that your feelings don't run over into someone else's.
As a grief counselor, and while we talk about this, do you feel like when people ask the question, well, how did that person die, especially being young, because you guys are very young,
Mm-hmm.
and I've noticed that when both of my siblings have passed away, the one question before even the condolences came was, well, how did it happen? Oh, was it drugs? Oh, was it COVID? Oh, was it this? And I feel like people feed off of the stories, but then again, I could be wrong.
Yeah,
They look for the next like thing that they could find a way to talk about.
absolutely. And it's borderline tragic, because you don't want to think, they just want to talk about it. You want to think that it's a positive ordeal, but then you have those people that are news toters. They just want to know just so they can sit around and talk about it. Like I said, a dinner table topic, and that's not how I felt that should go. Go across the table and across the board. But I can't control what other people do or what they think. But when it came down to my situation, I had to protect that with everything, and that's just my personal opinion, because my husband was a very majestic man, very prideful, but an awesome individual. And his integrity was through the roof. It was impeccable. So you don't get to pick and choose what you want to know about somebody just because you think it might have been this or that. So when it came to my situation, I'm just very protective over certain things. We can talk about trees, we can talk about birds, bees, flowers, and grass. But when it comes down to my household and it comes down to somebody that was half of me, you don't get to do that. And I pick and choose what I want to tell you, unless it's something serious and you really need that assistance. I can know, because my discernment is very sharp. So if you really need help, I can help you. But just to be nosy, no, you don't get that. You don't get that. That's why I'm very different from a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants. They're just like, wow, how do you do that? Well, it's because it's integrity. It's how I choose to deal with people, because I just don't like that. Get the help because you really need it, not because you want to talk about it.
Tell us about Mr. Huff, if you're okay with that.
Oh, I'm perfect. I'm perfect. Man, when I tell you this guy, God, my man, 100 grand. I met this guy when we were in high school. I was actually a little older than him, 2 years. And I was a senior and he was a sophomore. And we met at a convention. I was actually supposed to be a nurse, let my mama tell it. But I was at a convention in Greensboro, North Carolina. and he was there with FBLA because he was really, really smart. And we saw each other. And it was almost like that thing in the movies where, you know, you walk past somebody, you see them, and y'all lock eyes, and then that's it. And that's exactly what happened. So we crossed each other's paths. He was looking at me, I was looking at him. I'm a booty watcher, so I was watching his booty. I was like, oh my god, you know, he's so sexy. He's and I'm like, all right, you know, whatever. All right, cool. I graduate. I go to Fayetteville State, and my junior year, he was a freshman. He came in. He saw me again. I was like, wait a minute. You know, what is this? And we started talking, and he let me know, you know, where he saw me. And I was like, oh my gosh. So man, it went from there. It was amazing just being friends. And he decided to take it a little bit further. He was like, hey, you know, I like you, trying to spit the game. And I'm like, yeah, bump your gums, whatever. And we ended up talking as friends, and then we started dating. And this was actually being married to him was actually our second time around. And everybody's like, what do you mean? Like, we weren't married before, but we were together twice. So long story short, you know, we got together, we have children. And when I tell you, this man taught me so much, because my husband was a businessman. Like, he was all for the games, you know, have fun. But when I tell you, the corporate world missed a gem. This man was amazing. He was a math teacher. He was an educator for 17 years, and he loved children. He loved math. He was a numbers guy. So I hated math all through my life because I just couldn't grasp it. And I told him one day, I said, how do you come into my life, explain math to me in 5 minutes, and I'm a guru? And we started laughing. He was like, well, I told you, you know, numbers is just that. Don't let it scare you. And he explained it. And now when I tell you, I'm not saying I love numbers, but I'm not afraid to approach numbers again. I'm not afraid, you know, to love. He had to teach me how to love again, because throughout life, I just went through a course of, you know, disappointment and everything. And, you know, when he got back with me in, I want to say it was 2010, he said, you know, it took me 7 years to get back with you. And that was my fault because I was scared of love. He said, but every day until my last breath, I'm going to make sure that you fully understand that I love you. And I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to make you know that I'm not going anywhere. And I was like, boy, whatever. So when I tell you, he did everything, and I mean exactly that. He loved me. He loved my kids because, you know, I had children that were not his, but you were not going to tell him that they were not his kids. He was like, whoa, whoa. We don't talk like that. I don't believe in step kids. I don't believe in none of that. I don't believe in bonus kids. These are my kids. You would literally have to fight him. And he was like, man, you know, he was just such an awesome guy. When I tell you, his integrity, loyal, just honest, everything. Like, I know there's nobody perfect. And people say, oh, you know, nobody's perfect. He wasn't. But when I tell you, he was more than perfect for me. He was more than perfect for our kids, just everybody. There wasn't a harmful bone in his body. When I tell you protective, he was a protector, not just a provider. And he loved God. He loved his family. He loved his children, everybody. And, you know, he didn't have the best relationship with his parents the last 8-9 years because, you know, it was just life, and they just felt like, you know, whatever the case may be. And he told me, he said, you know, it's okay. He said, because I did everything that I was supposed to do. I love my parents. I love my brother. He said, but, you know, if they can't accept you for who you are, then they lost me too. And when I tell you, he walked that thing out. You know, when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing, and he leaves his parents to cleave to his wife. That man cleaved to me. And there was nothing in this world he wouldn't do for me. When I tell you I'm spoiled, I am spoiled because of him. My kids are rotten because of him. And my parents, even my parents and my brothers, man, were affected by him because he was just that type of guy. So to know him was to love him, to like him was even better. He was just a phenomenal person. And I was just blessed that God thought enough of me to give me his best creation. And if I never get another love like that again, it's okay, because I know what it feels like. I know what it's like to be loved by such an awesome individual. And I pray that I see him again one day.
That is the sweetest thing I've ever heard. What is dating yourself like after a loss like that?
In the beginning, it was trash. It was trash, man. Because, most of my adult life, I've been married. As a kid, college, you go out, you have fun, you can go by yourself. But when I lost my husband, going out by myself was like, what are you doing? One, because I'm getting dressed and I'm going to have dinner. But I'm going alone. So I'm like, used to talking, used to laughing and cackling about something. Nope, it's quiet. And I love to talk. And eventually my husband began to, love to communicate even more. He started talking more to me. I was like, whoa, dude, like you're talking too much. But now it's like, in the beginning, it was horrible. I cried every time I went somewhere. I couldn't have eat my food. I would have to get a to-go box every time I went out. And then finally I just stopped. But here recently, I want to say the last 4 or 5 months, I would try maybe once a week because I had to keep up the dating. My husband would date me at least once a week. And we would go somewhere. We would just go to the corner store and get a honey bun and a soda and just sit in the parking lot and just crack up. And I would try to still carry that on, but it wouldn't work. But here recently, it's been a bit better because now I don't look at it as, he's gone. I feel him so much. When I ask God to allow me to have that sign, can he talk to me? Can he touch me? Now, if I go to Waffle House and I'm sitting there and I'm looking across the booth, I don't see him physically, but I remember in my head what it used to look like, what it used to feel like, how he used to flirt with me. And now I smile a little bit and I'm like, I feel you. Or somebody puts a song on the jukebox or something and they have no idea who I am. But we have a mutual love for Music Soul Child and Mint Condition and Stokely. So I don't care where I go. Something of that nature, some song comes on and I'm like, hey, Huff, how are you? Have a seat. Let's eat. So now it's not the same. Don't get me wrong. But it's more comforting now because I know that God allows him to usher himself in, have a seat, and look at me like, hey, babe. So, what you eating? What you doing? The little stuff that he says. So, it's better now. It's not the greatest. Like I said, tomorrow's my birthday. So I'm like, we're supposed to be going out. We're supposed to be eating dinner. I'm like, what is happening here? But I think I'm going to be okay. I'm better than I was last year and the year before. So, I'm good.
So, being that tomorrow is your birthday, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about promises when it happened. We talked promises through everything. What does Promises' future look like for her?
Woo! When I tell you, this is going to sound real conceited, but it's not. So, what Promises is doing now, man, she has taken flight. Like she got her bags, she has boarded the plane, and she is gone. When I tell you, I had to sit down and remember it was Women's Month. And I did a live yesterday, and I was like, I have highlighted and talked about every other woman other than myself because I don't give myself enough credit. And it's not because, I just think I'm this, I think I'm that. But I've been through a hell of a lot of things. And losing my husband, man, I'm like, dude, he would be the one to say, hey, man, stop. Look at what you're doing. And the last 6 months, forget a year, the last 6 months, look at what all you've accomplished. Like I've become a whole nother international bestseller. And this is the first time that I actually wrote a book, a journal, and a workbook. And it's all together. I love what I'm doing. I love who I'm becoming. And it's all because of the seeds that he planted in me. Like I didn't know anything about business. Why would I? I mean, he was here. He was taking care of everything. I didn't need to do anything. But when I learned to go from we to me, totally different story now. Now I look at things like, wow, I can't just say, I give Huff credit for this. Not that I don't want to, but he taught me how to do something. Now I did it on my own. Me and God, of course, but I do it on my own. And I'm like, man, I created this on my own. I'm standing on my 2 feet again. Because at one point, losing him, I didn't even know how to tie my shoes because he did all of that for me. Literally. He was not a punk. No. But I was like a kid. Like, I didn't have to do anything for myself. So now that I'm doing things, I'm like, wow, Huff. And I talk to him just like this. I'm like, wow, Huff. I'm really doing. I'm about to be, and I have no problem with telling anybody how old I am. I will be 43 tomorrow. And I'm
way!
Yeah, way.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited because I'm doing things. I was on radio with iHeart last year, and I'm gonna get back, whether it's with iHeart or somebody else, but I'm morph. And I know that I'm a radio personality. I love it. I'm actually in a pageant next month, Royal Production Pageant, yes. And I represent North Carolina as American Beauties Plus Woman for 2022. But it's not even about me winning that pageant. All of this was about, forming bonds, sisterhood, getting in this thing, because Huff pushed me. He was like, he knew that I wanted to be a pageant queen when I was a little girl. And he was like, baby, I think you need to do it. And just when I got into the realm of learning about pageants, he passed away. And I was like, you know what? All of this pageantry, it ain't even for me. It's not even for my daughters. It's for him. So I'm like, I get to represent him because my platform is grief. And I'm like, I get to talk about him. I get to talk about the grief and how I've been going through my journey and just looking at everything that I've accomplished. And I'm like, man, this is nothing where I am. But the futuristic promises for the rest of the year, man, I'm like, hey, y'all was sick of me before posting and talking about this and that and forth. Man, it's about to get real crazy, because not only have I done it, I got to tell you about the movie. Not only have I been an extra in a movie. Yeah, so the new movie that came out on Netflix, Tyler Perry's Madea Homecoming, I was an extra in the movie. And I actually got about 10 seconds. So, I feel kind of good about that. But I'm like, you know what? That was just a start. I'm a whole actress in these streets and don't nobody know. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to work on that. I'm getting back on radio. I'm going to write. I actually have 2 books that I've already written. They just haven't been edited yet. Yeah. So I'm just allowing God to continue to push me and push me. And I'm going to be that person who he wants me to be. I believe in healing the land. And whatever I got to do to make sure that people on this earth understand that, hey, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's dark. I know it hurts. But I look just like you. You look just like me. Our blood is still red. So understand that I'm here. And I'm reachable. I'm tangible. I'm touchable. I want to be able to help you. So if you just allow me to speak life into you, I'm going to do that, man. And we're going to walk this thing out. I don't care how hard it is. I'm here and I want to help you. And I just want to breathe and speak life into people, man. I'm on my way. I'm getting out of here, man. I'm doing it.
What would you say after all of this, if you could tell somebody who just lost not a husband, it could be their husband, their sibling, their even a cat. What would you tell someone that just going through it at the moment?
I would tell them exactly what I told somebody yesterday who had that same situation. It's okay to not be okay. Give yourself a lot of grace, because we don't do that. We don't know how to do that. We don't know how to grieve. But when we do what we can do to grieve, don't get pushed through that. Take your time. I don't care how long it takes you. I don't care if you want to sit on your bed and think about your cat who was like a family member to you. I don't care if you lost your job. That's their loss, not yours. It's okay. It don't feel good right now, but you know what? Those same qualities that you had at that job, all they did was heighten it. So now, not only did they lose a gem, but now you get to be a diamond that was in the rough for somebody else. Yes, you lost your cat and it hurts. But guess what? The love that you put into that cat knew, and it knew that you loved it. So it's okay. You did your job, but hang on. You can deal with what you're dealing with. Just don't dwell in it. Because when you dwell in it, not only does it hurt you, but it can harm you for real. And depression will creep up on you really, really fast. It will. Just when you're thinking, oh, I got it, you're soaking, and you're soaking forever. You don't want to close the blinds and never open them again, but close them for a moment. It's okay to slide down that wall once you cheese and grin in everybody's face. And no, I'm okay. You close that door. It's okay to toss some stuff around. It's okay to kick it around. Okay. Know that you got to pick it up later. But in the moment, have your moment. Don't get rushed through your moment, because nobody knows what you're feeling. Even if both of us lost a cat, your cat wasn't like my cat. Your feelings weren't like my feelings. Who's to say you were even a cat lover? You just got a cat because you were lonely. I don't know. But my cat was precious to me. And I love my cat. But because we're friends and we're going to go through this grieving process together, I'm going to help you. You're going to help me. We're going to smile about it. We're going to cry about it. We're going to pray together. and we're just gonna get through this thing together, and it's okay. But when you're ready to actually get to your healing journey, just remember to just feel it. You gotta feel it, because if you don't feel, you're not gonna be able to deal. And if you don't deal with it, healing never even takes place.
Ooh, that was a bar right there. That was
But
a whole bar. Oh my God.
yeah.
So you mentioned the movie. You also said there's some books in the making. What is the next book looking like?
Well, actually, the next book per se is already done. It was actually a collaboration between me and my late husband. It's called "You Were Built for This." I recreated it because, coincidentally, the book that I just dropped, "Feel Deal Heal," and "You Were Built for This," the covers, they were similar. And the person that did my "Feel Deal Heal" didn't know anything about my husband when he actually did my cover, and I just happened to look at it, and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, no, we can't do this. He was like, what did I do? I was like, no, you didn't do anything wrong. So shout out to Coach Ricardo Amir Allen. He's like my brother bestie. And he did it. He was like, what did I do? I said, you didn't do anything. I said, the problem is, it's not even the problem. We just got to revamp something. I said, because Huff actually did the first cover, but I wanted it to be different because, I re-edited, put a couple different things in there, and it's a 30-day devotional for everybody, because you were built for everything that you go through. You just don't know it yet. So that's actually a book that was written in 2019. It got published, self-published in 2020, but we didn't push it because my first book like skyrocketed. So I was like, what do we do? So I'm just going to relaunch it, and now it's going to, flourish. But the second book is an audio book. It's called Love Letters to a Black King. And this, how this book came about, man, was totally to the left. I was not thinking about doing any of this, but it's a lot of affirmations, letters that I was writing to, per se, a Black king, but more so my Black king. Whoever God has for me in the future, I had all of this love, and God was like, don't feel like all of the love that you have is in vain. You're not going to lose that love. You're just going to put it into words so that whoever he is, whenever he hears it, he's going to know it's you. So it's about 12 or 13 letters that I put together, and it's audio. It's really sweet. It's just me pouring from my heart to paper, but from paper to audio. So we're working on, cleaning that up. And once we get through Feel Deal Heal, after it has its course a little bit, and everybody's kind of, okay, what's next? So after everybody goes, what's next? Boom, I'm going to hit them with something else. Like, oh, snap. So it's going to be dope.
Oh my God, I enjoyed so much sitting here and talking with you. I want to first of all wish you a happy birthday tomorrow. We're going to party. Then you're going to come here in April. Then we're going to party some more. I want to thank you for putting this out. I want to thank you for making the workbooks and the journals. I still haven't gotten to them yet because I'm not sure if I'm ready yet to go really to feel into everything.
Gotcha.
And that's just me being open and honest about it.
Absolutely.
But I know it's something I look forward to doing, because we all have our times where we work on ourselves and everything. So I really look forward to like diving into that. In the meantime, where can everyone find you?
Oh man, so I'm very easy to find. My Facebook page is public. So if you go to Promises Rene, and that's Promises, there's an S on Promises. A lot of people say, "Oh, I didn't see you." You got to add the S. It's not promise, it's Promises. And then Rene with one E. So it's Rene. So if you put Promises Rene in on Facebook, my page is public. You can go on there. You can send me a message. You want to send me a friend request, that's fine. I'm also on Instagram as P Rene the Stylist, and that's P.Rene_the_stylist. Hit me up on there. DM me. You can also go to my website, which is Speak Life MLC. That's M as in Mike, L as in Larry, C as in Charles. .com. Go on there. I have material on there. I have my books. There's some merch on there. I actually have a Feel Deal Heal t-shirt.
Aww.
So you can get that. Man, you can go on Amazon. The only reason why I don't really send people to Amazon is because they're always like, "Oh, I want you to sign my book." Well, if you want me to sign your book, then you're gonna have to actually message me to let me know that you want the book, so I can send a personal message to you because I'm very personable. I love to just have that one-on-one contact. Send me the message that you want the book. You can pay for it through Cash App right now because I'm doing some revamping on my Zelle and my Venmo. So Cash App is quicker right now, and you just send me the money for it. I write your book out, whether you want the book or the bundle. Now, again, the bundle is the book, the journal, and the workbook. But then you can just buy them separate. You just want the book, fine. You just want the journal, the workbook, totally up to you. But you can get that, and yeah, I'm kind of everywhere. I'm getting ready to get back on Twitter because I was a little slow with Twitter. I just that just wasn't my thing, but I'm trying.
Twitter, it has its moments. It's like days you want to go on it and days you don't.
Yeah. So I'm learning, my kids like, Mom, I need you to get with the times. I am. Trust me, I'm trying. But we'll get to that later. Yeah, I'm not in a rush. So Facebook is your best bet because I'm always on Facebook. But Instagram, I'm kind of feeling a wave on Instagram. But definitely Facebook, you can find me. Very personable. You can ask me anything, just don't get weird. Um, but yeah, other than that, I'm good. Hit me up anywhere.
What's up, everyone? It's your homegirl, Ivy. We had an amazing interview with Coach Promises Rene. We want to thank her once again. She is now part of our illustrious Rawrrzone history, which we thank you for. Once we end this recording, we're just going to take a quick picture. And yeah,